Welcome back to the Colorado Springs Business Podcast. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I am the host of the show. Today we are sponsored by Vehement Visuals, which is my video production company, and we produce videos for businesses, essentially. We help tell their stories, but we also help automate certain processes that they might have find themselves doing over and over and over again. We can automate certain things with video, and it's about strategy. The videos that we do for the companies that we work for, our goal is to get a result, an ROI, not just to make a pretty video. And I figured, I might as well start promoting my business at the beginning of every episode because it's the only reason the show exists is because of my business, honestly.
There you go.
Yeah. And so that's the first sponsor. The second sponsor is actually the Colorado Springs Business Podcast. We do ads at the beginning of every episode. So if you'd like me to read a 15-second to a minute-long ad script promoting your business, reach out to cosbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. And the third advertisement that we have for today is promoting the Colorado Springs Business Podcast Patreon page. It's a membership platform for creators, for shows, for content creators that really can help monetize their efforts that they put into their work. But I don't want it to feel like a donation platform. That's one thing when I went into creating this Patreon. It's not a donation platform. There's membership levels where you get extra bonus content each month in the form of either videos, in the form of either actual physical content that you get just for being a patron of the show. For showing your support for the show, we want to help you. We want to provide a service back. So it's just an extra layer that the Colorado Springs Business Podcast has. And that's all the sponsorships we have for today. I'm going to introduce our guest. Today we have on Matt Mcdonald with Peak Welding and Machining. Is that right? Or
Peak, singular.
Peak. Oh, okay. Yeah. I always mess up one little syllable. Okay. All right. So yeah, tell us what you do in a sentence or two.
I provide custom fabrications and mobile welding. So the fabrications would be like handrails, window well covers, trailer repairs, whatever kind of crazy thing you broke that needs fixed. And the mobile work is usually commercial. I'm D1.1 certified structural certified welder, so I can do on commercial job sites and
nice
for inspection and that kind of thing.
Well, I can't wait to get into that in this episode, and I'm gonna roll the intro music. This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. Okay, man, I'm excited to really figure out what you do because it's something that I've never really had in any experience in, and I'm very interested about learning what different businesses do, Mm-hmm. So what got you started in welding, essentially? We'll start there.
I needed a job.
Okay.
I was in Garden City, Kansas when I started welding and went to work for a company that made cattle feeders and didn't know anything about it. And so they just trained me on the job, and I was, that's just how I started out. But I've been a machinist over the years. I've been in manufacturing almost 30 years overall. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. And manufacturing, what is that?
Well, to manufacture a product, I started out initially as an assembler at a place called Diddy Web Press in Emporia, Kansas, and we made printing presses. And that was my first manufacturing job.
Screen printing presses or?
No, this would be like the high-speed
like newspapers,
presses.
like
smaller scale.
Okay.
And they were a very large company at one time, and but they do not exist anymore.
Okay.
But that's where I started learning how to be a machinist, and from there, I ended up going into welding. I mean, it's a long story. I've done a lot of different things over the years. So.
Well, we got time for those long stories. That's what these long podcasts are for.
Yeah. Well, when I started out at Diddy's, I was an assembler temp, and they said. After 6 months, they're like, well, we'll move you over to the machine shop. You seem like you're doing all right. So I went over there and started learning basic machining. Give a shout to my buddy, Steve Trussell. He was like my mentor and still a really good friend of mine. And as he put it, I was the only guy not drilling on himself in the group. So he started showing me how to do more stuff and, learning how to run more equipment and everything. And but eventually that job did end because it was a temp job. Mm-hmm. And For the welding, I had moved out to Garden City, Kansas, and like I say, I started working for this company that made cattle feeders. My brother got me the job, Matt McDonald. He was selling them a water filtration system, and they were looking for welders. And he said, "Well, I think my brother can do that." So he gave me a call, and it was a raise. I was like, "All right." And I was there about a year, but I went from not knowing how to weld to doing conveyors, then to making augers, then to working on the shells, and then eventually doing prototype work for them. The machining background kind of came in for that, but then
prototype work for clients, or
what it was, they were doing a new type of a mixer for this feeder. This is something that mixes all the grain and the hay together and everything when they went dump it at a cattle yard. And so they were doing.
Did they eventually sell that, make it an actual product and sell it?
Yeah, they were. It was in more of a prototype type stage at that time, and I was helping them with, building some new.
Yeah.
Helping change it a little bit so it would work better and that kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun. Welding was something I took to pretty well. So, but ended up going back to Diddy's and working there for a couple of years as a machinist full time.
P. Diddy?
No, this is it's Diddy Web Press.
Okay.
And, they eventually went out of business and ended up in Kansas City.
Nice.
Working up there at a couple of different places. I was there for about 10 years, mostly welding, but I did some machining as well. And started into management, around 2005, 2006, after I got my business degree. And at a place called SOR in Lenexa, Kansas, and really great place to work. Had a lot of good friends there and a lot of fun projects at that place. But kind of how my management in manufacturing started. But I ended up in Tulsa.
Oh, yeah.
Short time. Then out here working for a couple companies. In 2014, I got laid off from a machining job, and I decided...
that was after you landed here in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. So that's how I kind of ended up starting my business. I was out of work, and a buddy of mine, Andy, gave me a call. He owns a hotel here in town.
We got to get this mic more in front of you.
Sorry. Yeah. He called me up and said, "Hey, I need somebody to make handrails, redo the handrails at my hotel." So that's how I started with the business. And, that was in April of 2014, and I got licensed in July.
So he gave you had work before you even had the idea of starting the business.
No. This happened. I had just gotten laid off. It was like 2 weeks later. I got called. I was remodeling a bathroom.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got started.
Yeah. But what I mean is you got laid off and this work came your way and you're like, okay, so start a business. Or was it like, I'm going to start, you got laid off, I'm going to look for my own work?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what I was going to do with it at first.
Okay.
I just knew that it kind of fell in some spots until I figured out what I was going to do. Because I didn't know if I wanted to go back into management. I had stepped away from that for a while. And, I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do or not, but I'd always kind of thought about starting a business. Starting a business is kind of scary. So,
yes.
But it kind of fell in my lap, and so that's how we started.
And you needed to make ends meet, and
yeah.
So these handrails, when you make them, this was your first project here in Colorado Springs. What do you mean handrails? Like you're making like the rails that go downstairs, the rails that go like was it one project?
Well, okay. You got to get into a little bit of technical differences between
Let's do it.
A guardrail and a handrail, or what we call a grab rail. A handrail is something you grab onto that is between 34 and 36 inches. So let's say you're on a commercial place, you're going into the mall. You ever gone along, you see the pickets, and then there's something to grab onto on the inside? Well, that's a grab rail. It has to be between 34 and 36 inches.
Because they have the fence on the bottom, and then they have the raised part where it has the grab rail.
Well, then on the outside, that's called a guardrail.
Okay.
On a commercial site, that has to be 42 inches, and it has a deflection rating. It has to be built a certain way for commercial. When you get into residential, they start calling it a handrail because the guardrail itself can be between 34 and 38 inches. Sorry, it's 38 inches on that, not 34 and 36. But anyway, so when you see handrails in somebody's home, they'll have that cap rail on the top or where you would grab. So that's all in the same height ratio. So that's all the stuff you learn when you start doing it. And I knew nothing about. And
it's interesting, those small details that we all overlook about so many things.
Oh, gosh. It's kind of stupid. I could be anywhere looking at somebody's work, looking at something that nobody else is looking at.
You're at the bar and you're having a nice beer and you're like, look at that handrail.
Yeah. Who welded that? Or going, that's pretty nice work. And, or, I can see where they did this and did that. And I had some friends that kind of make fun of me. They'll catch me looking at something like that, and they go, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "Do you really want to know?" So, but yeah, I end up doing a lot of handrails for residential and for commercial. I just did them. I just put in guardrails down at the new automated Mister car wash down in Fountain.
Okay.
And made all the gates for the enclosures and all that. So that was a commercial job.
So you make these from scratch? I mean, you get pieces of metal and you build them?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I buy the raw material and I fabricate. We call that fabricating.
Okay, so what's the benefit of someone going to you besides going and getting something that's already made?
Well, because I'm awesome.
Okay.
So let's say you wanted handrails in your home and you wanted metal handrails. So you would come to somebody like me because you have a custom space. Every house is different.
Okay.
Even if you're in more of a, let's say, a cookie cutter neighborhood, what you might also want, if you start getting into metal, when it comes to different looks, you might want more ornamental. You might want something more industrial. You might want something more straightforward. And so that's part of the benefit of that is you get something custom that you would want. And if you buy something like, if you go to the big box stores, they have some of those fencing and handrail stuff you can buy. You see them for decks or whatever, and they're kits. You can cut them, and they're made out of aluminum usually, and they're just fine. I've put one up for one of my friends. I got how I ended up doing that, I don't know, but put it up. There's nothing wrong with the product. It's not going to be as high quality. It's not going to be as strong or as tough, when they make it out of aluminum or something like that. But I don't knock another product. They all have their function, so it's something more cost effective and something you can do yourself. If you want it. Something you're paying me to go do is, you have a look, you have something you want me to take care of it, and put it all in and do that.
You just take care of it all. You make it happen.
Well, that's what they prefer.
Yeah.
They like to have somebody to call if they aren't happy too. So
how long did you say you've been in Colorado Springs?
I've been here for almost 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you came out here for a job, and you said you got laid off in 2014?
Well, I came out here and worked a couple of different jobs, but I came out here as a production planner for a manufacturing company, and they fell on hard times pretty quick. So I was there 6 months and moved on to the next job. It was working for a video imaging company that for the railroad. They needed somebody to harden the systems. So they needed somebody with a machining and welding background, but they were basically taking cameras and sticking them on a railroad track.
So when you say harden, you mean make them more durable?
Yeah, okay. So that you didn't destroy expensive cameras that were sitting out in the weather and susceptible to debris and that kind of thing. And what they were doing is taking pictures of the wheel sets and the brake shoes as they would travel by the system. Make sure they're safe. And what it would do is the system had a measuring component, and it can measure those items as it went by. And if they were out of parameters, it would flag the next station, say, "Hey, you need to check brake shoe this number on this car."
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool technology. It was, it was a little ahead of its time. A lot of things to work out in bugs, but gosh, I learned so much. I learned a lot. On software and hardware side. This
is like 2010, late 2009.
Yeah, I was there 2010 through 12, and then after I left there, I just went back to machining. Okay. And I worked at two different places. The last one I was at about 2.5 years. I was just a CNC mill operator, and did custom.
So you paid your dues.
Yeah, I've kind of done a little bit of everything over the years when it comes to that genre. So.
All right, so I was trying to get that timeline in frame. So like 2014, your first year in business, how did that look? What were some of the challenges you had to overcome?
didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a daily occurrence.
Yeah.
There was a lot to learn. I have a business degree, business management, but nobody teaches you about running a business.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's journey is different. It's kind of custom.
There's things that now, and other business owners will laugh at you. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're good.
Like I didn't know I needed liability insurance. I was like, I need that. Well, yeah. So if somebody wants to sue me, they could do that.
Why do you need that?
Well, like when I do commercial jobs, is especially what I need it for. Is if something goes wrong, they need somebody.
If something is inevitable to go wrong.
Yeah,
eventually.
So, I need to carry like $1 million liability insurance on the business to cover my work, and then my vehicle, I have to carry commercial insurance on it as well, in case I decide to run into a building or something like that. Well, the other is as a business, you need to have commercial liability on your vehicle because it's attached to your business.
If you use it for business at all.
Yeah.
Well, I heard you can't claim it for your business if you also use it for or just the regular stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get all that because I don't
Okay,
know
we won't get into that.
But
that's for another guest.
When I started out, though, I had a vehicle that I used for both, for private and for commercial use, and then it's not necessarily always required that you have it, but businesses, it's becoming that they want it, so you just might as well carry it. Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Makes sense.
So, but now I have my own work truck, and that's all it moves for is work, and then my private vehicle.
So do you have any employees?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Whenever I need help, I contract help.
Okay. So
I've got some other welders that I work with. That's a pretty small circle. And then sometimes I just need somebody to hold stuff and help carry things. So.
Do people contract you out ever?
Yeah. Whenever I do commercial work, I'm contracting for usually a larger entity. I'm not doing it myself because I'm not, I can't pull permits or anything. I'm not a licensed contractor.
Oh, okay.
So anything that requires permits, I would have to do that work for somebody else who can pull the permit.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that works. But every once in a while I got the guy be like, oh, we got a big job, you want to come in and help on it. So we'll do some work together on something.
So when you first started out, not knowing a bunch of all this extra business stuff, that can be overwhelming at first. That was a big issue. Well, how about getting clients? How are you able to do that?
I didn't.
Okay.
I started this first big job, and it lasted about 9 months. And when it was over, I was kind of standing there going, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
And, I give some credit to my ex-wife. She just said, you need to get a website.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't know how to do that. She's like, you have a college degree. You should be able to figure this out, And, so that's what I did. I went to Wix and started up a website and did that in the month of April because I made about $400 that month. That wasn't paying the bills. So, but it has been the biggest payoff I've ever had with the business. It helps, especially out-of-state contractors find somebody.
How does it do that?
Well, usually it's just a Google search.
Okay. And having a website allows you to pop up on a Google search.
Yeah. And learning a few tricks with that, which is get your name in as many places as you can. So, get on Yelp, get on Alignable, get on Thumbtack was one of the early ones I did. Now, I haven't paid the membership on like that Home Advisor or anything like that, but my name's on it.
Okay.
And what happens is a Google bot goes around and finds you in different places. That's how your rating goes up. Especially
they call them backlinks, I think.
Yeah. So when nobody's clicking on you in the beginning, that's how you kind of go up in the Google rating. And within a year, I was number one for mobile welding. If you searched in Colorado Springs, boom, I was the first one below the ads. So that's how the phone starts ringing. And,
yes.
So a lot of work off Fort Carson because I work by there.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what brought me out here was work. At Fort Carson.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. I did that. What is that hotel called there?
I can't remember, man.
They built that new hotel, and that was the first really big project I did in my company.
Okay.
And, it was like 3 months of work.
Did you contract anything out for that?
I did it in conjunction with another contractor.
Okay.
The way they wanted to set that up insurance-wise, that they couldn't contract under me. So
yeah, and you're not even licensed. So
they contracted next to me, basically.
Okay.
And Justin Haney out of Pueblo.
Okay.
Give him a little plug. He's a good kid. Came out. It was, I think, the first welding job for his business. And,
wow.
So he would come out. He was working full time, and he would come and weld when he had time to weld, and the rest of it I did. So
Okay.
I did all the columns and the walls for that building. And
when you say working full time, he was working full time at a different job that wasn't his business.
Yeah, he had
Okay.
he had a full-time position.
Oh, wow.
And he was starting his business on the side. So,
Okay.
yeah, hard-working young man.
So did you bring any other like employees to help you out?
No.
Okay.
No, I usually try and figure out how to do that myself.
Okay.
I have no issue with training people and such. It's just more about efficiency
Yeah.
when it comes to the business. I mean, eventually that may happen and grow. I'm going to have to hire people.
Yeah, it's something that can be kind of scary to relinquish that trust with someone else.
It's that, and it's just
Time consuming as well.
the time. You got to make it worth its value. And so, like this last week, it's been on Facebook a little bit. I added a driveway on to my place. See, my shop's in my house.
Okay.
It's the garage. I'm a small outfit, but it works well for me. It makes it efficient to work from home. And so
There's nothing wrong with that.
I may eventually build another shop there or, move to a bigger place. But when you go to add employees, you got to have a place for them to work. You got to have, I got one welder right now and one power source for it. So how would I hire another welder and we're both working in the shop? It's all those logistics, and it just takes time. And so you just kind of add that next layer you need to go where you want to go. And I don't know if I ever want to have a really big shop or not.
Yeah, I mean, if you're happy and comfortable with just doing it yourself,
I get a lot of joy out of
Yeah.
it. I still like doing the work, and but I like all aspects of it. That's what I enjoy about my work, is that I get to work with the customers. I get to do my own books. I get to see where the money's going.
Yeah.
I get to make those decisions about if I move to another insurer or something like that. I've got that control. But then when I'm doing the project, I get to lay it out, just set up the cut list and how we're going to put it together. And, some days it doesn't go as smoothly as you want, but, it's always about the challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, it's really, when it comes to business, it's about your goals. And what you want with it. Like, if you being a one person, if your goal is not to be some huge corporation or even just a huge business or even a medium-sized business where you have like 100 employees, like, then don't do that. Why would you even try to consider that?
I've seen some people kind of get caught in the trap of going this way and going, I don't like the direction the way that's going. I've always been very, I guess, intentional about what I want to do. And maybe a little bit slow sometimes about growth and what certain things that I didn't do for a while, because it's like, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. But then I knew I might be heading that way.
Yeah.
And it's got window well covers. I didn't make one for like 3 years. They're pretty simple to make, but I'd never made one. And I had a friend of mine, and he said, I need window well covers for my house. I don't really want to make those, but it was, I made some for him, and then
are those like metal bars that go over the window?
Well, these would be like the expanded metal, but they go over the well if you have basement windows, and you can stand on them, walk on them, that kind of thing. But there's other things you have to learn with that. When it comes to building code. So that's why you're like, okay, I know that there's a bunch of other stuff I need to know. So let's make sure I know what I'm doing before somebody comes to me as a business to provide that service. Because that's one thing, is you're trying to build a reputation, is that you want to be the guy that does it right or can do it as well as anybody else can do it. I get handed projects all the time that are quite odd. You're like, you ever seen this before? And you're like, no, but we'll figure it out.
Sure.
Yeah. I've made branding irons before. I've never made a branding iron, but probably didn't make it the way a blacksmith would, but I made.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think I can make something out of metal that you can get hot and burn it into something,
So what's the difference between a blacksmith and what you do?
Blacksmith is more metallurgical. They're about moving steel and shaping and forming, taking raw steel and making it into something. So like you've seen Forged in Fire or something like that, where they're making the knives. That's blacksmithing. That's taking a piece of steel and turning it into something else.
Okay.
And they're doing it with heat, heat and cooling process and hammering and that kind of thing. So in the handrail world, that's the kind of guy you want to call if you're getting into really nice,
like swirls and like.
Oh yeah, when you're getting into the fancy stuff.
Okay.
That's the guy you want, because they're going to make you something that you envision, and it'll be all handmade. So I would never insult the blacksmith with what I do. They're quite good at what they do to be doing it.
So what are some of the coolest projects you've done?
Oh, coolest projects. Well, the hotel was a good one.
And what did you do in that hotel? Like the handrails?
No, what I did in that is this hotel had 502 columns, and all the joints had to be welded at each level. It's a 5-story building. Okay. So as they put in a new column, put plates on it, I would weld the plates together.
Okay, so you go in there and just apply a bunch of heat and,
it was stick welding. That's what I'm certified in for my structural welding. And this is all inspected work, so it has to be done to certain specifications. They have a drawing. They say they want this bead size, this long of a bead, Yeah. We call that what you weld is a bead. And so it was a good project. It was, like I say, it was the first big one that I took on. It was a big jump, and
and what's if you don't mind sharing, what's like a price range for a job like that?
Well, I mean, can vary. That ended up being a $42,000 job.
Oh wow!
For 3 months.
Wow, good man.
Well, the truck is $100 an hour.
Okay.
There's a reason. It's got equipment on it. Costs money.
So you were renting the truck?
No, it's my own truck.
Okay.
But that equipment costs money to purchase.
Okay.
And upgrade. But they're also paying for my certification, is what they're paying for, because that will be inspected by a CWI, which is a certified weld inspector. They come through. They take a look at everything, and they stamp it, going, "Yeah, that's good. It's compliant."
What is your truck? It's not a regular truck.
Yeah, it's a utility box truck.
Okay.
Like you'd see for the city kind of thing. Has a big welder on the back. It's sexy.
Okay. It has a big welder on the back. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's in the truck?
It's in the back. In the bed. Yeah.
I thought you were like putting like an image on the top of the truck or something.
Oh no! It's a welding machine. It's a generator. Basically, it's a portable generator that takes 2 leads. It'll have a ground and a positive, or a negative and a positive, and you put an electrode on your positive side. Well, it depends on what process you're in. That gets a lot more technical. But anyway, with stick welding, it's an electrode you put it in the holder, and that's your consumable that you're welding with.
Okay. See, I'm not very familiar with welding at all.
No, that's fine.
I gotta make sure that's still going. All right, cool. Yeah.
So, other projects for District 11, I redid the.
Isn't that a movie?
For the district, yeah. But no,
District 9 is what I was thinking.
The school district here, District 11, had me do the Gary Berry Stadium over at Constitution and Circle. Sorry, I'm getting away from there.
Oh, you're good.
But they needed new handrails, guardrails on it. So I cut out all the old stuff and put up new ones. It was 630-some foot of guardrail that we put up there, and they renovated the whole stadium, and they were happy. So I was happy.
Yeah. So do you make more money working for yourself than you did at a job?
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing about entrepreneurship.
No, the last couple of years, it's been pretty comparable. I mean, you have a business, so sometimes, what the income is and the other benefits of having a business. But, no, it's been good. I can't complain.
Nice. So where do you want to go with this business? What's your goals for it?
Oh, that's a good question. Just want to keep working. I just want to I wouldn't mind getting to that point where I'm too busy that I can't handle it, and I need to bring somebody.
You have to. Yeah, I'm getting there. Like, I'm excited for that.
Well, I've always felt this way about growth, which is I don't want to have employees or bring anybody in that I can't help them support their family.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important to me. That there's some places that I think are a little more laissez-faire with it. That they, we slow down, we lay them off, and we try and keep. And I've worked for some places that are much easier with doing that, and then I've worked for places that it's like everybody in the management up to the owner took a cut, to keep everybody working while it was slow. And that's the kind of owner I want to be. I just that's more important to me is the people and the relationships with all that. It's the same thing with the business itself. It's been a lot more, things that I enjoy about it were things I didn't think I would be that big a deal to me. So, but working with the customers has always been, the big bright spot. When somebody sees a product that you're done with and they're really happy with it, that makes you feel good about what you've done.
Definitely.
I've had, I had a customer one time call me. Him and his wife were in a little disagreement over color. Took about a month. And I remember telling the guy that day, he's a very large man, I said, you'll end up doing the color she wants. And he's like, I don't think so. About a month later, I get a phone call. He goes, we need to go sit down at Panera Bread. And I go in and he goes, I've only made that woman cry 3 times in 25 years. And he goes, last week was the 3rd time. And I go, so we're painting them black. And he goes, yep, we're painting them black. So did that. And he sent me a text later that night and he said, my wife's been sitting there for 2 hours drinking from a bottle of wine, looking at those handrails.
Okay.
She was just in love with them.
That is an awesome.
And, you get an experience like that and it makes it all worthwhile.
For sure.
But
yeah, man.
I'll plug one place, Next Day Access. They're a national.
I know. Bean is David Bean.
David Viner.
Viner. Okay, it's been a while since I actually met him at the Power Connector.
Yeah, he'd be a good person to have on.
Yeah.
But Next Day Access is a national franchise company.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly, and he has the local franchise. But I make grab rails for them that they go outside of the home. So, but what they do is they supply products in the home for handicapped and the elderly.
Yes.
And so whenever they have something that goes out on the porch or the patio, we just do a grab rail as long as there's some rules about compliance with that. As long as the patio is no more than 36 inches off the ground, it can be a grab rail, just a rail that you grab onto. Once you get over 36 inches, you have to have a guardrail. So you have to have the pickets. So anyway, I make those for them, and we have a deal, and I go install them, and quite honestly, it's pretty impactful.
Yeah.
When you meet people that haven't been out of their home for 2 months by themselves, and
not because of COVID, because they're disabled or elderly.
Yeah. I had a woman the other day actually started crying while I put in this grab rail. I mean, I had to walk away. It's like, it's a little overwhelming. But she's like, you don't know what this means to me. But I've been doing it for 3 years, and I hear it all the time. I had a gal that was handicapped 3 weeks ago that I put in for her, and it's impactful sometimes. Yeah. So those are the things I really enjoy. It's a good thing. So
yeah, cool, man. Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess we can start wrapping up the show.
Okay.
Is there anything specific that you'd like to promote today?
Well, I thought about that. You had that on the form when I filled that out, and so I've kind of pushed one business, but what I really wanted to promote was people trying to do this themselves, a business, not necessarily what I do, but to go for it and to do it. We need more entrepreneurs. We need more small businesses. It's what makes a small or makes a strong economy, especially local economies. I just tell people, if you've wanted to do it, don't let anybody talk you out of doing it.
For sure.
Get around the right people.
Not even yourself.
Yeah. And there's some people that are more self-motivated than others. For me, I thought about it, but I was always afraid to try. I had a high, what do they call it, risk aversion. I was afraid of failure of the business. And I just tell people, you'll find out more about yourself and your character. It'll bring more happiness to your life. It'll bring more stress. It can be tough on relationships. I won't lie about that, but we just need more people working for themselves.
I agree.
It's much more satisfactory to your life if you do.
Especially when you can do something that you're good at and that you love or have a passionate about. And
you'll learn certain things about yourself that you didn't know you could be or do. When I first started, you asked me, a big pivotal moment in my business was after that first big job. I went to a networking venue. Suzanne Craig, I'll never forget her. Great woman. She passed away this last year.
Oh.
But she said she ran this group, and she said, we need to go out and have coffee so I can learn what you do in your business so I can help you out. And we sat down, and she's kind of asking what I do. I still don't know exactly what I do at this point.
Okay.
I know I make stuff, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I know a blacksmith. I said, okay. Well, I'm not really a blacksmith. Okay, but that might be – I didn't understand the networking possibilities of it. Said she knew somebody else that did like fences. Well, I don't do fences, And she finally looks at me, and she goes, what the hell do you do? And what she meant was this: you better start figuring it out, because I was making excuses like, well, I don't have this kind of equipment to do that, and I don't have this to do that, and everything. And you need to figure it out, or you're going to fail. And what I figured out that day was to quit being afraid of some of those jobs that sometimes you veered away from, and just go, boy, they rang your phone for a reason because they thought you're somebody that can help solve their problem, and yeah, it may be new, it may be scary, but, that was the biggest thing I learned starting out of the gate with the business, and that's what I would tell people is just don't be afraid to try. People call you for a reason to do a job. You have the same deal. There's other people that do what you do, but they're calling you for a reason. And they may have something completely new that you haven't done before, but you're like, I got a pretty good idea how this should be done.
Exactly, yeah. With one of the videos I just recently did, I had that kind of feeling, but I was excited to do it, and it was like,
and that's what it turns into after a while. Is you don't have the anxiety over it anymore. It's like it's another day in the rodeo. I call. Everybody asks me what my plan is when I start out in the day, and I said I just hope to not be on Plan C by noon.
Nice.
And so that's just that's the way it is, and that's why I enjoy what I do.
For sure. And this podcast, it's kind of mission statement in a way. It's to help encourage people who may want to start a business or people who are already in business, but who may want to start a business and let them have this whole repertoire of all these different business owners and what they did and different industries and all that, and really help them understand give them the inspiration, the motivation, and education that they need to just pull the trigger and do that.
And that's what you tell anybody is starting out any business. Anytime I see somebody that's new and doing something, I think that they're, doing something good and positive. I'm like, whatever I can do to help you. I mean,
for sure.
Cause we all need it at times. And, believe me, it's, so I just encourage people to go out and try it. You don't want to have a what if later in life or something. So
yeah. With this podcast, getting this space downtown, I wasn't even ready for it. I was like I can't afford that. Like I can't get a place downtown. I got other bills. But I was like, I need to make it happen. I had a big vision, and
well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to come on here. I'd met you last February and thought you were a heck of a good young person, and
thank you.
I saw that you were advancing towards this, what was it, back in May, and that kind of when you started talking about doing this, if I remember right.
The podcast? We were actually already doing it.
But
I think we even talked about it at Power Connectors because what's his name?
Yeah, I think it was an idea at the time.
It was still going. Yeah, it was still going. I started it in December actually, and it was weekly.
Oh, okay.
And I was doing it only weekly, and it was going to the businesses, their offices, their whichever. And I would do it once a week, and then COVID happened, and I was like, I'm just gonna put it in hiatus. And then about a month and a half ago, I got really crazy about it.
But when you mentioned that, I had a friend there, and that friend said, "Well, you should do that." And I was like, I don't know, I don't like being on camera
for sure.
Kind of thing, but.
And then look at you, you reached out to me for this episode.
Yeah, because I want to see you advance. I want to see you do well with this. I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for people to get out there, get some exposure, and to grow something local. So.
And I think it could be, for a lot of my guests that I have on, I'm sure it's a lot of their first times, like actually being professionally on camera, like, so it's like, I could imagine it being stressful for even some people, but they're doing it anyways because they want. It's just, I don't know. You may find something out about yourself in the episode, even if the episode gets no traction or no exposure extra for you. You may find something out about yourself. Yeah. and I sometimes I ask those questions. Get people thinking about certain things. I've had guests come on and say that the questions I asked got them thinking about the way they were doing things, and so it's like that's awesome. Another good feeling to get out of doing this podcast as well.
I just think I've been around for long. Been around long enough. I finally started thinking I might have something to say.
Okay,
so, because I've been asked, what do you what's it like to run a business, or what should you do? And it's like, man, there are so many different businesses out there that are run different ways. They got different products. They got a different approach.
Goals.
At the end of the day, if you got a product or a service that people want,
problem that you can solve,
you can probably stay in business.
Yeah.
As long as you're willing to provide it and do that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I just put my one foot in front of the other and made it happen. And I'm surprised myself all the time at the progress I've been able to make. And, there's been ups and downs, and there's been times where it's like, what the hell am I doing? I'm out here, in this place where I had no friends or no family, and just trying to make something happen,
Yeah, when things ain't going right, you can definitely feel that way. Like, I have no friends here.
Yeah,
right at the moment. This is a bad day, and But I always try and keep it positive. It's just going, you know what? Even if you have a failure, just learn from that failure. I had a simple thing today. I had a gate I put up 2 weeks ago, and I didn't set this hinge right. And it was kind of an oddball job, somebody just had something they needed me to do for them. And I didn't get the hinge set right. So I went back today, and I obviously didn't charge them for it because I didn't do it right the first time. But she's happy as she's tickled pink now, It's all right. And,
problems are going to happen.
And I should know.
It's how you approach it.
Here's the thing. I should know how to put a gate together by now and how to
it
put
happens,
one up.
Though.
But you're just like, but that's
you do
part
know
of,
how. Yeah.
But that's one of the things I would tell people is you can have failures, but if you handle it right and handle your customers, they know that you're genuine. It turned out to be a positive because I bet you that person will refer me to the neighbor, at some point. Oh, you need that fixed? I know this guy.
It's about relationship building is what I've noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to come here, and that's my biggest thing is just want to promote people. Take the risk. Take a shot.
For sure.
Put in the hard work, and, there can be a big reward. And it isn't always financial. It's in just, for your life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you reaching out, and I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing what you do. So, I guess I'll wrap it up. This has been the Colorado Springs Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. All right.